the United Stand pre-season tour sponsored by Manscaped. Discover the power of 3 with Manscaped's unique trimmers. Get the right tools for the job at manscaped.com. Manscaped, your body will thank you.
I'm going to come back to the Højlund story, but I just want to drop in that obviously David Ornstein has reported that Marcus Rashford will sign his 5-year contract imminently. Reaction to that in the chat. Interested to get some of your thoughts on this. A bit of a mixed bag on social media. This is the big story this morning. Can you call my friend Harshith a prat, says Jake. There you go. So, initial reaction is that I'm a big fan of Marcus Rashford. I really think he should be playing off the left. I was talking about this last night. And Marcus Rashford committing his future to Manchester United is a positive and not a surprise. He was never going to go anywhere else. Brand Rashford would be stupid to go anywhere else. Player Rashford doesn't want to go anywhere else because he's been at Man United since he was a kid. So he was never going anywhere else. And it's interesting that David Ornstein says that he rejected bigger offers from England and the continent. I'd love to know where these offers in England were coming from, because it's absolutely no way he was going to go to another club in England. Just not going to happen. I suspect that PSG would probably be the European one, considering his brother was over talking to them a year ago. But again, going to PSG, I mean, money's not what you're offered in wages as well. The money Rashford would make from being in England and the book deals that he does and the brand deals that he does, whatever PSG offer him, you're out of the room if you go and play in France. You know, you're not in the room of publicity and focus, and you're out of mind. And unless you're going to do what Bellingham did and go to Dortmund and Real Madrid for footballing reasons, you don't go to PSG as an English player because you're out of the game. So Rashford was never going to do that unless his career at United had crumbled. He was always going to sign the contract for footballing reasons, and also footballers are brands now as well. So I don't think he was never going to go anywhere else. What I'm interested to know, and what I think everybody else is interested to know, is what the wages are, because that will be the thing that people will say, well, that's a good deal or it's a bad deal. I would suspect you're talking maybe 350, 400k a week, and then you open up the debate, don't you? I don't think United pay good wages to anybody. That's not Rashford's fault. We pay Harry Maguire 200 grand a week. We pay Jadon Sancho 350 a week, apparently. I just can't believe that's true, but there you go. And Marcus Rashford shouldn't be on 350 grand or 400 grand a week. But if he went to play in Saudi Arabia, he'd probably be on £1 million a week. So, look, that's not my issue. I'm glad that Rashford's staying. It would have been a bloody nightmare if he'd gone. But I suppose, let's just have a look at some of your comments, because I do have an interesting point to make. Definitely need 2 strikers considering we have an insane amount of fixtures, says Red Smurf. Welcome to Members Club, Rob. So the Sola says, what's your reaction to it? My reaction to it is this. I think it's like a new signing FC. I'm really happy that Rashford signed. I'm really happy that Onana's signed. I'm really happy that Mount has signed. But why do you need to announce Marcus Rashford smack in the middle of a January transfer window just before we're going on tour when you haven't bought a striker yet? And I just think this is completely and utterly the football club that we are under the Glazers. And I know it might not be directly the Glazers' fault. You know, there's all sorts of rumours of people that are employed to spin the PR. Neil Ashton, who used to be part of the Sun, apparently, I don't know whether he's still involved or not. He's very good at not being involved, but maybe he is involved. We've had people in the past who are employed to, I think it was Gary Neville who exposed it a few years ago. We've had people in the past who are employed to, you know, help players with their PR spin and everything like that. So Man United is a PR animal, and we're a PR animal, whether people like it or not, because we're owned by people who want to make money. So they want to manipulate you. I don't know why we are releasing details of a new contract for a player in the transfer window. We did this with Martial a couple of years ago in the January transfer window. And I think United do it because you're meant to go, it's like a new signing. You shouldn't be announcing contracts until the transfer window's closed. You can announce a Rashford contract in April and September. You don't need to do it smack in the middle of the transfer window. Now, this in no way is a reflection on Marcus Rashford or him. You know, Rashford staying is what I want and what anyone wants. But announcing a player that's already part of the team as a new deal in a transfer window just psychologically shifts your attention into a positive state of mind when actually this transfer window isn't good. So I I think this is a typical United Glazer tactic, and it should be, it should be read for what it is. It's a real positive that Rashford's going to stay. I can't understand for the life of me why people think it's not. But dropping it on a Monday morning in the middle of July, when you haven't bought a striker, you haven't sold anybody yet, to me, I read it for what it is. It's a positive news story to spin a positive and keep the fans' mood up as you head to go on tour, because actually what fans are thinking is, we're going on tour, we've not sold anybody, and we've not bought a bloody striker, and that's not a positive mindset. So I think this dropping this morning is what United do. And I'd love to say it doesn't happen, and I'm sure it happens at a lot of clubs, but Man United are the master of it. And anybody who doesn't realise it is probably indoctrinated into it more than they think. It's the positive medicine that they give you to make you ignore the illness. It's the Glazers, and it's just what we do at Manchester United. Do you think if we end up overpaying for Højlund, whether that will influence if we can sign another midfielder? I dread thinking about the budget, says Navin. Hope you're well, Mark, says David. Thank you very much. We're not a serious club if we give Rashford this contract. How can we be ruthless with the goalkeeper but make this zero IQ footballer our main man, says Julian. Bloody hell. And my Mark again, what do you think of Jimenez, says Eddie. Well, we're not in for him, so I don't think about players like that. No, I disagree with that comment about Rashford and zero IQ. I want him to stay. I think the wage will be ridiculous, but the wage is ridiculous for many players. That's not Rashford's fault. And I think this is a positive PR spin to try and detract from the fact that the transfer window isn't going to plan. I think that's very obvious. No talks since the 5th Qatari bid. Surely not. Talks are ongoing, says John. Do you think NDA is why we're hearing this? I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. Are you worried about Saudi Arabia players taking lots of players, says Mika? Well, we're not going to struggle with that. They don't even want our players, so we don't need to worry about Saudi Arabia taking Man United players. We might actually benefit from that because no one seems to want our players. But just going back to Højlund will be the next deal. If you've been watching the United Stand for a while over this summer transfer window, obviously please do subscribe and smash a like, but that's not the angle I was going for. I mentioned this weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago that Rasmus Højlund to Manchester United was hotter than the sun. I got ridiculed for it. And then over the weeks, it's become, United are interested, to, he's the number one target. So really good connections around the Højlund deal. It will happen. What needs to be said around the Højlund deal is that he is a developmental striker. People shouldn't be putting too much pressure on him. I think he's got the potential to be something really special, but Ten Hag's going to have to develop that, and Højlund's going to have to work on that. He is one for the future and the now, but the expectation on the now should be limited. Also, I think the most important thing is this is very unlikely to be a deal that goes from today to Wednesday, here we go. I think this deal takes 2-3 weeks, just based on United aren't really even in deep negotiations with Atalanta. And when you look at how long we negotiated with Chelsea and you look at how long we negotiated with Inter, this is not an easy deal to do. Atalanta are not saying you can have him for 30 million and United are not going to pay 80 million. I believe this deal will always be done for around 40-50 million with add-ons, but that will take a lot of negotiating. So I think we're 2 or 3 weeks away from that. Giovanni says, what about João Felix? I mean, I think João Felix is a player that Erik Ten Hag would like to sign, but ultimately probably won't sign because the money is dead money. It's you've got to be a rich club to go and get João Felix. You've got to be a Chelsea, and we're not, because basically you're spending money on a player that you're not going to end up owning. Yeah, simple as that. Nicholas says then we should move on to what? The Rasmus Højlund deal is not exclusive that it's going to take weeks. Any player we negotiate for will take weeks. That's what will happen.